All right, so I just showed you how to pull the handle. The first thing I want to do is address if I see any kind of cracks forming. So I'm just going to take my finger and gently compress those out, just so they don't show up later on. And if you notice that your finger is dragging the clay across, it's getting stuck on there, that means your clay is too wet, and you can just hit it with the heat gun really quick. Okay, so the first thing I really want to do is consider like how this handle is going to go on the mug. So it could go on the mug like this. It could go, you could turn it upside down, and it could go on the mug kind of like this. But however I decide to do it is going to determine how the angle at which I cut it off this larger piece. So I think I'm going to do an upside down handle today, meaning it will be kind of something like this. So I need to cut it at that angle. So you can kind of use your phone, that's kind of helpful, and come in and just draw a line kind of to show you at what angle you need to cut that handle off. And then I'm going to get that more centered there. Make sure that my wire cutter is perfectly horizontal. Ooh. Dig it in there a little bit. And you can see how I'm wrapping the wire cutter around a little bit before I start pulling, so it's kind of acting as a guide. And then I'm going to put holding it from the base or up here, just so when I cut this it doesn't flop and pull back and chop it off. Now I'm going to set it down and bringing back my cup, kind of just playing around with what this could look like. So if I were to do it the other way, like this, I probably wouldn't make that many adjustments, maybe cut this top part a little shorter and then slip and score it on like that. But because I'm doing the upside down kind of ear style handle, that takes a little more adjustment. So I'm just going to kind of shape it, and I'm being really gentle with it here. And you can see that it's still wet enough to actually do a lot of this shaping without cracking. If it was any drier, I probably would have some issues with cracking, especially up here, which even now you can kind of see some cracks forming. So I'm just going to kind of gently smooth those out with my finger. And then when I get a shape that I kind of like, I'm gonna take it and hold it up to my mug and see, that's a little too big for my liking. So I'm just gonna come in and chop a little of this back. The reason why I like this handle so much is that it's kind of a all fingers on deck handle. You can really get at least 3, sometimes 4 fingers into it. Get a really good grip on your mug. And I feel like it's a little more ergonomic than other style where all the weight's up at the top. All right, so now I really like this shape. Just gonna give it a little tap, tap, tap to kind of flatten this out. And make sure that all of the end points of the handle are contacting the table. I have a little gap here, so I can just go in and fill that in. Looks like my needle tool or my wire cutter kind of jiggle joggled a little when I was cutting, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm not gonna have any weird holes in my handle. All right, so it's just the way I want it, and it's a little soft now, so I'm just gonna hit it with the heat gun just a little bit to firm it up. My mug back. And I do want to make sure that I leave the handle a little wet so I can still adjust it when it's on the mug. So I'm just going to kind of determine where I want this handle. Up high, down low. In the middle. And then as soon as I determine kind of where I want it, and make sure that you're turning it side or from the side so you can look and see that the handle, the top and the bottom are kind of straight. And then I'm just gonna come in and draw the contact points and score. And then I'm also scoring the end of my handle, ends of my handle. Really score it super well. Should look something like that. And then grab some magic slip. And once you've got that magic slip that matches your clay body, put it on just one of the one side of both of your contact points. And then I like to score it up one more time just to get that magic slip really in there. And I always like to start by putting the bottom one on. So back it with your finger from the inside and press firmly but gently. And you want to see that magic slip oozing out to make sure that you've got a good connection. And then once you have this bottom part kind of cleaned up, it's easier to do when the top hasn't been connected yet, because you can get your finger in there. Then you can connect your top one, putting my thumb inside the cup. And be sure it's like straight from this angle before you press down really hard, because you might need to adjust it to straighten it. And then again, clean up any stress marks. By compressing them. And now you can just clean up the joint connections, connection points, and kind of adjust the shape of your handle a little bit. So it feels a little more comfortable. And you want to make sure that your handle looks symmetrical on both sides. And then you can take a needle tool or your potter's thumb, this one, or you can also get these little rubber tipped tools that I like a lot, and come in and clean up this connection point. All the way around. And the key to attaching handles so they don't fall off or crack in the kiln is to make sure that the handle is has the same water content as your mug. The closer you can match that, the more success you'll have in the firing process. All right. So to dry your mug with the handle, the first night, after you put the handle on, and then the first night you want to wrap the whole entire mug tight in plastic so it equalizes a little bit. And then you can kind of loosen the plastic up and begin that drying process very slowly. So you want to remember that the handle is being exposed to a lot more air than the rest of the mug, so it's going to dry a lot faster. So sometimes it's helpful if you wrap that handle in a damp, not wet, soaking wet paper towel, just lightly damp, and that'll slow down the drying of the handle to kind of match the drying of the rest of the pot so it doesn't crack off.